Happy traders, and welcome out to your daily market roundup. This is Ankit here, and here we are wrapping up the day on a Thursday, October the 16th. Quite a day in the market, so let's quickly get into it. As always, we will be doing a top-down analysis, take a look at broader markets, take a look at indices, and then we'll talk about some setups here, so let's get into it.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional stock and option traders. Maverick Trading is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
So looking at our market analysis, it was quite a day where we saw a lot of movements across the board. So starting from the broader markets, we did see a pullback. Market has been doing a good job at reversing those losses that we had last Friday, but we are sort of seeing a lot of volatility. And I think that's the main thing today, as the volatility jumps to the highest level since May. So far, I must say, seasonality wise, things have been very quiet. But the market volatility is definitely showing some signs here for some trouble coming ahead. Now we are seeing a big move in the bond market today as well. We saw the yields that actually went lower across the board, especially if you look at the shorter term. Like the 2-year yield was down to the lowest level since 2022, where even the 10-year yield is now below the 4%. So that really moved the markets. And then we also have gold that continues to go parabolic, which is, again, it's fascinating for a lot of traders. If you've been trading for a long time, we're seeing a move that none of us has experienced, in the past. So a lot of things going on here. But then let's just take a look at the chart here. This is where the equity market chart kind of looks interesting here, because, here we are at the highs and we got the lows here. And I always say, always take a look at which side it breaks first before we get a follow through. And you can see after Friday, we did come back lower here. We did reverse, and then pretty much we're kind of going range bound here. But at one point, we actually had from here to here, we have recovered almost like 90% of that move. So, what can we make sense of today's candle? Well, today's candle seems like normal, range-bound price action. But one thing that's sort of alarming here is when you take a look at the VIX. And we take a look at the VIX here, and we are at the highest level as we go back all the way here on this little wick over here. So you can see the volatility has been pretty low for the most part. And then we are getting some pickup in volatility. So, that's something we have to kind of pay close attention to as we are, position our portfolio more bullish or bearish. Now, when we take a look at the numbers, the advanced decline, this is where, it was a bearish day across the board, 73% to the downside, 24% to the upside. But take a look at the market breadth. 56 below moving average, 50 to moving average, and only 44%. So these numbers are not really getting any better. And if you just take a look at the sector heat map today, and so far you can see there's a lot of red with some pockets of green. Again, overall, markets have done really well this year. But with this little spike in volatility, I think this is where we have to make a pivot and, brace for more volatility, especially if this continues. Now, when we take a look at the market outlook here, again, kind of bringing the score down to even a 0 or even a -1 if it breaks below that 50 to moving average. I think we're stuck between that 20 to 50, and whichever way it breaks first, I think this is where the sell-off can intensify. If it breaks lower here, and if this really shrugs off, we can see market kind of reverse back. Who knows, right? Right now, market has been very stubbornly bullish so far this year, but at the same time, volatility has really remained low. So, if there's more volatility, expect some more movements in the markets. And the fact that we're getting movements just not on the equity markets, but also the bond markets, we're getting movements, in the currency markets, everywhere that's moving, I think there's something is telling us that's moving underneath. This is, again, the time where government shutdown continues into the 16th or I think the 17th day now. So here we are with the potential trades. This is where I just look at pocket of strength and weakness. I think that's just the best way to look at this. If you have been, trading the broader markets, I think just, got to be a little careful here in case if market does take a turn. No. So now let's just take a look at first one. Here's the Micron MU. You can see this one. Beautiful little high base, and it breaks out. Even a day like today, when market across the board were doing poorly, this thing did well and did that on a higher volume. So that's a good sign here. I think it shows the relative strength there. Here's the other one. That's the Johnson & Johnson. I had it last week, and this thing is also just treading along. Here's the other one, the CVS, and you can see this thing is also moving nicely up on higher volume for the last 3-4 days here. So that's really where we are seeing some pocket about performance. Now, looking into performance, well, you can see this one, Strategy Inc. You can see this thing has now broken below the September lows, and I think this is where, I like the fact that it not only has reversed these rally, but then also making some new lows here. So that again goes on the top of my list here. Here's the second one, Adobe. I kind of like Adobe for pretty much last few months. Again, you can see this thing has kind of gone sideways, but now it's breaking lower. Volume is increasing. So I think this is one also goes on the top of the list here. Here's the third one, KKR. And this thing is also nicely trending lower. And then, having nice little pullback on when markets pull back. So where we are, I think what we have to just do is kind of watch out for some volatility. If the VIX does he intensify more, or does he settle down? I think time will tell. I didn't really see a whole lot of headline to really cause a lot of the movement that we saw today. So it definitely was a little surprising to me. And market did fight quite a bit during the day, trying to rally or reverse the gains. But I think at this point, we might just see a chop here, maybe a back and forth till we really break one way or the other. So if there's gaps, expect some gaps, maybe some more overnight price action. Again, that's what we get in this little higher volatility environment. There's no economic report today because of that government shutdown. All the major reports are delayed. I think next week we get the CPI data. So that's another one that, we'll get the data next week. But so far, it's been pretty quiet on the news front or on the data front. Earnings, got American Express tomorrow. Not a whole lot. So I think tomorrow will be an important day. We'll see how or where market ends tomorrow. And then I think based on that, we'll have a better idea on how to position ourselves going into next week. At the same time, keep an eye on these headlines, and keep an eye on if there's any sort of development on the shutdown front. But outside of that, I think just watch out for that VIX here and see if the VIX spikes or does it come back? So that's something we're going to pay close attention to tomorrow. So that's the game plan here. Again, be cautious. Again, I don't mind being on the sideline when the outlook looks a little bit unclear. Or rather, miss out initial move, but then just wait for whenever or we get the follow through. So that's the game plan here. Thanks for joining. It's the next one. Happy trading.